Okay, so this is going to be the start of my reading vlog. I don't necessarily know how long of a time span this reading vlog is going to cover. However, we're starting on Thursday, April 13th. I just finished Thistlefoot last night, so I'm thinking I'm going to annotate and like tab this now that it's done so that I can add it to my bookshelf and it'll be nice and happy with all of its friends. Thistlefoot was so good. I literally think that I sobbed at like the last 200 pages though, to the point where like my husband was next to me and he was legitimately concerned. He just kept looking over at me like, are you gonna be okay? And I was like, I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna be okay, but it was so worth it. This was definitely a slower pace read, and for a horror book, it was actually really comforting, and I don't entirely know how to describe that, but this was like a beautifully tragic horror lullaby. Ultimately, Thistlefoot is a Baba Yaga retelling, hence the house on chicken legs, but instead of following Baba Yaga, it follows her descendants, Isaac and Bellatine, who are brother and sister. But you also get narration specifically from the house. It's essentially focusing on the impact of generational trauma, but you do get the story of Baba Yaga and the origin of the house on chicken legs through what her descendants are going through. I found this to be incredibly interesting, really comforting. Again, don't know how to explain that. Because this was more of like a slower paced read, I could definitely see how it wouldn't be necessarily a story for everyone that everyone would love, but I personally really enjoyed it. So I'm just like looking at the back blurbs right now, and I didn't realize that Lemony Snicket had blurbed this, and that feels right. Okay, but I'm gonna take this dust jacket off so that I can annotate it. I literally just put this back on for the sake of this video. I read it without the dust jacket on because I'm not a psychopath. So I'm gonna take this off and then we can annotate it. Okay, so I went back through my annotations and I think I have settled on the different categories of tabs that I'd like to focus on. Now I just have to pick the color. I think I'm gonna go with these colors. Something about it, I don't know, feels right. This is what we're going to focus on. The body remembers, which happens to be like an overarching theme throughout the entire story. A haunting, there is many references to different types of ghosts. Folklore, obviously, as this is a Baba Yaga retelling, there is a lot of basis within folklore. There's also folklore with the story of the fool that is told throughout the story. Homesick is yet another theme that is just throughout the entire story, and moments to remember is going to be our catch-all. Our very first tab is going to be the haunting. The Russian thistle swells to life in the most acrid climates. It thrives on disturbed land, flourishes in those places where a strange violence occurred. All right, so a bit of an update since the last time we spoke. I have since acquired 3 books. I didn't buy any of them though. I think that counts for something. 1 is an ARC that I got, and then 2 are from a friend. She was essentially like clearing out some space in her house, and so she was getting rid of a bunch of books, just donating them, and she asked me which ones I wanted, and I picked these 2. So let's go through those real quick. So the ARC that I received is Relentless Melt by Jeremy P. Bushnell. And the whole reason that I was interested in this in the first place was because they compared it to Stranger Things. It says Stranger Things meets the golden age of detective fiction in a rollicking supernatural thriller set in Boston in 1909 and featuring a young wannabe detective who works in, well, Feline's department store. And I was also told that it was queer. So I was on board. So the synopsis says, Artie Quick, an ambitious, unorthodox, and inquisitive young Bostonian, wants to learn about crime. By night, she disguises herself as a man to pursue studies in criminal investigation at the YMCA's Evening Institute for Younger Men. By day, she holds down a job as a salesgirl in women's accessories at Feline's. Eager to get out, Artie sets out in search of something to investigate. She's joined by her pal Theodore, an upper-crust young bachelor whose interest in Boston's occult counterculture has drawn him to the study of magic. They begin on Boston Common, where the tramps and the groundskeepers swap rumors about unearthly screams and other unsettling abnormalities. As soon as Artie and Theodore uncover a series of violent abductions that take them on an adventure from the highest corridors of power to the depth of an abandoned mass transit tunnel, its excavation suspiciously never completed. Will Theodore ever manage to pull off a successful spell? Is Artie really wearing that men's suit just for disguise, or is there something more to it? And what chance do two mixed up young people stand against the greatest horror Boston has ever known, an ancient, deranged evil that feeds on society's most vulnerable? We're gonna give this a shot. I'm not sure when I'm gonna read it, but I do know that it comes out in June, I believe. Okay, so this comes out in June. I will hopefully read it before then. I'm probably May. Realistically, probably May. And then the two other books that I got are both like book of the month books. The first is The It Girl by Ruth Ware. My friend has read a lot by Ruth Ware, and she essentially said that like if you like her other stuff, you'll probably like this one. But she said it was like dark academia, mystery vibes, and I'm all about that. And then the second book that I got from her was Kiss Her Once for Me by Alison Cochran. I'm excited for this one because she says that she has a lot to say about how this ended. So I'm excited to be able to get to speak to that. But I've also known like quite a few people online have talked about this book and they really liked it, or just like had some really interesting things to say about it. So I want to be in on the conversation. Sorry, I just got a peek at the dedication, and it says, this book is for my parents who love me when I fall as much as they love me when I fly, and for the grandmas, obviously. I love a good dedication. Okay, so I have to figure out like how these are gonna fit into my TBR cart. That's gonna be difficult. Okay, let's see how this goes. Okay, this is the TBR cart. These are all of the books that I have and have not read yet, so they can't go on the official bookshelf yet, which is actually where you're sitting right now. You're sitting on my bookshelf. But these can't go over there until I read them. And if I do read all of these, they won't all fit on there, so that's a problem for another day. But now I have to fit 3 of these on here. I kind of have them somewhat organized on like by genre. That starts off with like contemporaries going into some nonfiction and like thrillers, but like things that are still set in like our real life world. And then fantasy, some horror, some fantasy series that I'm too afraid to dip back into, but I really love. So let's see how these 3 are gonna fit together, because this has like magical elements to it, it sounds like, but maybe not. I want to put this up here. I think it belongs somewhere over here, like a mystery. I'm getting mystery vibes. We're gonna do one of these. We're gonna do that. Okay. The Kiss Her Once for Me is definitely a contemporary romance. Those go over here. Do like this. Okay, The It Girl also should definitely be down here. Listen, why am I doing this to myself? I could very easily take some of these filler books. I have books on here that like, I call them filler books because they're absolute garbage that I don't even feel justified in putting them in a free little library. So they're filler books. And I put them here to fill spaces when I have gaps. I see a couple of them on my bookshelf as well. This feels right. Wow, that was a lot easier than I was anticipating. Okay, the thing that I still don't have like properly shelved up here is the Count of Monte Cristo. I just don't know where feasibly I can put this. Can I? All right, Dumas. Oh, wow. Okay, I literally have no filler books in here. No room for any other books. So and I'm not counting this shelf. we're not even gonna step into this shelf because the second I do, that leaves me too much space for purchases. So we're just gonna set these back here. And then this is the bag of things that are going to the free little libraries. Some of them I've read, some of them I have not. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 books in here. Oh, there's 6 books in here that I definitely need to get to a free little library because I don't know if I can fit any more in there either. Okay, so I'm only like 5 chapters into the picture of Dorian Gray so far, so this is going to be a very short update, but I just need to get some things off of my chest. Because even at only like 12 pages into this book, I was losing my mind. Basil says every day. I couldn't be happy if I didn't see him every day. He is absolutely necessary to me. And if that is not bad enough, that was the edited, watered down version because they edited out the part where he says, of course, sometimes it's only for a few minutes, but a few minutes with somebody one worships mean a great deal. But you don't really worship him. I do. Hence my annotation of I'm gasping, play false god and go feral. And Lord Henry Harry is over here just listening to all this being like, I can manipulate this situation. I can absolutely manipulate this situation. And he's just smart enough and bored enough to actually follow through with it. So poor Basil introduces Harry and Dorian, and then all of a sudden they're just like, Basil who? We're hanging out together. It's like the epitome of introducing your 2 friends to each other and then all of a sudden they don't know who you are anymore and they're just hanging out without you, and it's so rude. But to be fair, I'm not entirely sure that Basil's not just like completely infatuated with how pretty Dorian is, because apparently he doesn't even talk to him when he's doing these paintings of him. And when given the opportunity to spend time with Dorian or the painting of Dorian, he picks the painting of Dorian. But I'm just seeing Lord Henry over here just manipulating all these little puppets in a row, trying to see how messy he can make the situation, and like it's going to be so messy. I can just feel it in my bones. But like I said, I'm only on chapter 5. Dorian just got engaged, so that's gotta be a mess. Literally all of that to say that I'm only on page 59 and I already have a lot of thoughts, so I'm thinking I'm just gonna end this vlog here so that I can make like an entire dedicated video to the picture of Dorian Gray. Stick around, like this video, subscribe to this channel if you want to see more of that. I will definitely be doing these vlogs more in the future because I had fun with them. I don't know about you. But if you're still with me watching this video as of this point, thank you so much for being here today. I hope you have a beautiful, beautiful day. Mwah.